2022 has passed us in what feels like the blink of an eye, and I was able to play some great games and watch some great anime. So I figured, what the hey, let me do a bonus video for the end of the year and create a list of sorts of the things that I loved most in no particular order in the year 2022. I also may have taken inspiration from Super Eye Patch Wolf. I've got no shame. Let's get started. Number 8. Bayonetta 3 was a long time coming since its original teaser trailer back in 2017, and now that it's here, it's great! Combat has once again been perfected and finely tuned, with Bayo having all the kick-ass moves we've come to love at our disposal. Switching between weapons has never felt better, giving a specific type of thrill to landing those big combos after lots of experimentation and player expression. Traversal is also a lot of fun, with demon forms depending on whatever weapon you choose that facilitate movement within the overworld of whatever chapter of the story you're on, which is now littered with puzzles and secret combat arenas to find like in the previous games. With new weapons and new characters to play as, the game feels like a massive step forward for the franchise, with the ability to now control the demon summons that the game is known for. It gives such a different scale to the combat, one that reminds me a lot of the cancelled Scalebound and its potential. This game apparently started development directly after that game's cancellation, so I wonder, how much of Bayonetta 3 is from Scalebound's original vision? The world may never truly know, but what I do know is that Bayonetta 3 is a fantastic title in the series, and one that I hope makes tons of new fans so that the world of gaming continues to have our wonderful, fabulous witch ever present. I had a ton of fun with the game and its incredibly fun mechanics, and it was an easy addition to my favorite things of this year. Number 7. My Hero Academia has had its ups and downs during the entirety of its run so far, but it's always remained one of the most consistent shonen of the modern era, always delivering something of importance or impact during any or every one of its 6 seasons. Season 5 being no exception, with a huge revelation in the final parts of the arc that unfortunately was surrounded by awful pacing most of said season. So how has Season 6 fared so far? Oh buddy, this ain't your granddad's My Hero. This first core has been paced like an absolute bullet train, each episode pushing the narrative forward in a way that only someone with the skills like Horikoshi can. And the man can write a good story given the time, as this was a culmination of many threads that were laid out earlier in time within the story. And what a wondrous, bloody experience it's been. It feels like My Hero Academia is hitting us with everything that it can, with some of these episodes hitting particularly hard, like when Gran Torino just gets decimated, or when Aizawa loses his balance. What I'm getting at here is that, for now, My Hero Academia has been firing on all cylinders, and the way this first core concluded was really bleak, but it has me so excited for what's coming next. Number 6. I've got a confession to make. I've loved JoJo's Bizarre Adventure since 2012, when David Productions' adaptation began airing, and I love it unabashedly. The poses, the fights, the barrages, it's just so damn fun. With that said, Part 6 being on this list should come to no surprise, as I absolutely love the franchise and couldn't wait to see what the Joestar family get into this time. What I didn't expect, however, was that this seemingly simple arc, which began as your traditional Joestar adventure with Jolene Kujo as the main character, would then evolve into a world-shattering event. I don't want to spoil much for those who don't know what happens, but if you know, well, you know how impactful the finale is to the entirety of the series. A finale that made me far more emotional than any other finale in the entire show. Besides that aspect though, all of the characters introduced are strong contenders for best JoJo characters, and I absolutely love Jolene. She is one of my favorite Joestars. I'd probably rank her slightly behind Josuke personally, but either way, I love the stance, the absolute bonker powers of Made in Heaven, and how the conflict culminated, not by the hands of the Joestars themselves, but by the aid of them. I mean, so damn good. Looking into the future, and assuming they get the license to it, I hope Netflix doesn't do this awful binge cycle release for Part 7, because releasing in batches really doesn't suit anime and it ruined most of the hype surrounding this season. Still, this was a phenomenal adaptation that I also got to enjoy with my son, who's also a huge fan of JoJo, so for that alone, I'll never forget Stone Ocean or the legacy of the Joestars that we seemingly leave behind. Number 5. With the release of Monster Hunter Rise, I thought the Monster Hunter B team at Capcom had a solid foundation for the title, albeit with some pretty glaring issues, the lack of an endgame and the game itself feeling a bit on the easy side compared to previous Monster Hunter titles being my main problems. However, with the release of the expansion, titled Sunbreak, they remedied almost all of my issues with the base game. We have a robust endgame that can provide hundreds of hours of enjoyment, a lot of great new monsters to fight, as well as some fantastic returning beasts with updated movesets to coincide with the Wirebug, and some exceptional features added to the combat, making the entire Rise experience far better. However, the game still feels a bit too easy, mainly due to how powerful your hunter becomes. You can rock an armor set with so many skills activated at once that you can't help but become a powerhouse, becoming resistant and sometimes even immune to many of the effects from the monsters that make the fights and monsters themselves so much fun to interact with. I still think Sunbreak is fantastic, and I put well over 120 hours into the expansion, all the way up to the 3rd title update. So I hope that whatever Capcom does for the next mainline Monster Hunter, they learn from the valiant efforts of the B team and create an even better and more challenging Monster Hunter experience. Number 4. What more can I possibly say about Elden Ring that hasn't been said already? The game won Game of the Year at the Game Awards with tons of critical praise. It sold a gazillion copies on multiple platforms. Everyone either loves it or finds it great despite some issues. I mean, I personally happen to fall in that latter camp. During the second half of the game, its ambition started to show some seams in the final product, with some overused enemies and some of the level design being a bit hit or miss, but the game is excellent. It's a game with a vision, with confidence, and with the desire to do something that games like Breath of the Wild did before it. It has given new breath to the open world subgenre, and it also kicked your ass while doing so. A truly fantastic title from the minds of Miyazaki and crew, and I cannot wait to see how FromSoft tackles its sequel, direct or spiritual. Number 3. It's no secret that I love Hunter x Hunter. I mean, most of you found my channel via the video that I made on the subject, but well, the manga came back for 10 chapters, and though it is unfortunately back on hiatus, Togashi delivered some incredible content, especially when it comes to the Phantom Troop. We were treated to a flashback where we see the origins of the spider, to a time when Chrollo, Uvogan, and the gang were children living in Meteor City. And these panels present a story that is very different than what we've been given during the entirety of the Succession War arc. And there's so much to break down here that I would not be able to do it justice during this short segment. But to mention a few things that I loved, Chrollo and crew dub over a Sentai show they find on an old videotape, and he has a blast voicing the villain, which is a nice touch knowing who he becomes in the future. Seeing the citizens of Meteor City turn out to help their lost friend was also an indicator of how strong those bonds run within such a rundown place. Seeing criticism thrown at Franklin and Nobunaga for always being late is also a nice callback to similar sentiments in the York New arc, giving this a feeling of familiarity. All of these small things and touches and others that I even didn't mention make this flashback great world building, but the culmination of it all, seeing what happens to Sarasa and how this affects Chrollo, how this builds the determination needed to pursue the life he now seeks within and with the spider. It's all heartbreaking and heavily emotional. These kinds of storytelling touches are what continuously elevate Hunter x Hunter past your typical shonen, but also cement Togashi as a genuine expert in writing characters. With this new hiatus, it seems like Hunter x Hunter might move to a different release schedule based on the last notices from the publication. So at least there's hope we won't be waiting too long for the continuation of the story that so deserves to be finished one day. Number 2.5. I really loved Everything Everywhere All at Once. I cannot say this anymore. This movie has everything that I could have wanted from a film that tackled the subjects and themes this one did. I praise the creators, and I really can't say much more that hasn't been said anywhere else, but if you haven't seen it, please watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. My favorite film in all of 2022 and maybe even the last decade. Number 2. I've been a fan of Kageyama's adventures ever since I watched the first season of Mob Psycho 100 when it premiered back in 2016. This is the second time I've started one of these very similarly. Anyway, I've been very vocal of how much I enjoyed the series from day one. Coming after the hit that was One Punch Man's first season, I was looking forward to seeing what else author 1 could do with a different setting and themes. And I was very surprised that I ended up enjoying Mob Psycho even more than the aforementioned One Punch Man. And that hasn't changed since. Season 2 of Mob Psycho gave us even more fantastic character development alongside some epic battles, and with Season 3, Mob faces challenges that are far more personal than ever before. And I absolutely love that 1 took the story in this direction. The heart of the series has always been in seeing Shigeo trying to better himself in the ways that he personally chooses, like how in Season 1 he wanted to be a bodybuilder, but also how he needs to come to terms with his power, with Mob, and who he really is behind that name. And the climax was perfectly executed and left me feeling filled with confidence in these characters. Speaking of, Reagan is such a fantastic character, one of the best I've seen in anime in a long time, and his moment with Mob and Dimple was extremely powerful. Couple this great story with some of Bones' best work, and you've got yourself a powerhouse of a season, with an ending that is, in my opinion, perfect for the themes laid out by the story. I'm very happy that this series got the adaptation it deserved throughout, and we got to experience the best type of story from an author that has something genuine to say. Farewell, Kageyama, Dimple, and Reagan. I hope the future treats all of you well. Number 1. There just was no other place that I could put the second season of Made in Abyss on this list. Even though the rest of the items could be interchanged with each other, and it really wouldn't make much of a difference in their quality or my enjoyment, I couldn't do the same with this series. The first season of Made in Abyss was already a masterwork of storytelling and production, with the staff at Kinema Citrus showing how excellent they are at what they do, with animation and backgrounds that rival movie productions. Here in Season 2, everything is kept at the same level of quality, if not above what came before. There are moments of pure Sakuga that blew me away, but what really stuck out, even as a manga reader, was the story. This arc is one that the main trio of Riko, Reg, and Nanachi are barely a part of, though they of course play a pivotal role in the events. This is by no means their story, but a story of characters that have been waiting for catalysts to fully resolve whatever threats were left after ages of waiting. A story that presents the question, even if we know that these people deserve the worst, is it right to follow through? And does everyone involved deserve their punishment? The subject matter of this season truly deserves somewhat of a content warning. It's dark and cruel, but there's always something found within that keeps it from feeling nihilistic. And kudos to Kevin Penkin, the man is one of the best composers in all of anime. Like the rest of the list, I won't spoil what happens, but Made in Abyss continues its descent into the utter darkness that humanity is known for, yet somehow keeps the light of hope burning. It's been a while since I've been emotionally affected by an anime to the point of tears, but the Golden City of the Scorching Sun broke through my emotional barriers like Ava Unit 1 ripping through an Angel's AT field. It may be a few years until we see Season 3, but I'll gladly wait another 5 years if it means we get another example of masterclass writing, incredible production work, and excellence in storytelling. So that's what I liked the most in 2022. I hope that 2023 delivers on everything that I'm hoping to see. I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy XVI. I'm looking forward to a bunch of different anime that I may or may not cover on this channel, but 2022 was a very weird year and a year that provided some really good entertainment. So I'm happy that I got to experience a lot of it. For those anime series or games that were not on this list, they probably were pretty close to being on there, but I just figured I'd do the stuff that I really care to put on here. If you want to see more of myself, you can always check me out at twitch.tv/thegamingresume, where I stream every single Monday. If you want to see me play some games and talk some anime every once in a while. Metroid Prime is the next video, so stay tuned for that, because that's going to be different and weird, and yeah, it's going to be fun. So yeah, but thanks for watching. That was awkward. Okay, bye.